This disgusting girl was fat like a goddamn innocent boo. Her whole family says she's literally a damaged human being and no man would want her. Until this dude showed up and said, swallow these balls and you will become cute once again. One guy was shouting, what do you mean by that? But this fine shit said that she believes in the boy. She swallowed it once and that's why she's plumpy. Everyone at the party thought this situation was disgusting, but he went straight to the girl and said, here, eat those balls, innocent boo. The McDonald's shareholder was stunned. Should she believe in this guy? While fine shit was telling her to swallow it all. Bro saw her hesitation, so therefore he came to her ear and whispered, are you going to look like a Jigglypuff for the rest of your life? Remembering all the roast she receives on a daily basis, she took the courage and began to gobble it all while everyone was left stunned at the party. When nothing happened for a second, this dude came back to roast her saying she was just a female case. Oh, but that's when a golden aura began to show up from her eyes. Her fat began to redistribute like a real-time BBL and her baby feeders grew exponentially. Seeing herself in the mirror, she couldn't believe she was looking like a K-pop star. Everyone at the party was wide-eyed and now all those ugly high society members were begging to be the next on the swallow list. And this guy with glasses who was roasting her now is begging for pardon but is thrown on the floor like trash. Crazy to think this isn't even our boy's main activity, because when the school's top athlete challenged him to a 100-meter race, everyone thought he'd get destroyed. This baby formula buffet was laughing, saying a trash like him shouldn't even have the right to participate. And it looked that way too, because the moment the gun was shot and the dude ran desperate, our boy stood there, getting mocked while I enjoy the view. Until the moment came and he stepped on the gas and darted like an arrow. Blondie was shocked. The top athlete was left eating smoke and our boy crossed with ease. Bro even farmed some 5 more aura points by just waiting for the guy to get close to the finish line just to grab it in the last moment and destroy the guy's ego. But how can a new student humiliate the province's prodigy? See, this dude had the strongest aura on the continent of Rudo. 500 years of training. Reached the 11th stage at 65, defeated the Demon King and saved the entire continent. Then his most trusted allies stabbed him in the back, and goddammit, why is there always a female trashing this dude's life? I'm giving a pass to him if he becomes a wife beater. But at that moment, it was just suffering. He screamed he'd never forgive them. Then he woke up in the body of Yayamori Hiroto, a kid born into a prestigious clan but kicked out because his energy connectors were blocked and his body was useless. He has 0 power in this new body. But he has 500 years of fighting knowledge in his head and a desire to make girls pay it back. Back to after the race. A school bully runs into our protagonist and starts messing with him. Osaki, Haru, and Hokuba, from the boxing and fighting club, show up to give him a hard time. He knows the body's original owner was being shaken down by these bullies. They took his money under the excuse that they were protecting him. Hokuba lets Haru handle him, because there's something off about Yamori. Hosaki thinks dealing with weaklings like him is easy, and that one punch will do it. But things are different now, and Yamori dodges the punch easily. He hits back with a powerful punch to the bully's chin. From a cultivator's point of view, a boxing club captain is just an ordinary guy. Then he throws a huge kick right into his face. The boxing captain gets launched back and hits the floor. The bullies wonder if he's really Yamori. Our protagonist asks if they're scared of him. Those assholes don't care and come at him, but he grabs both of them and they cry out in pain, saying they were wrong. The two drop to the bathroom floor and cry, begging him to let them go. Meanwhile, the other bully who took the kick starts getting back up. He charges the protagonist to throw another punch but gets hit and goes flying. Threatening him, the hero says that next time he won't get off so easy. The ones left on the bathroom floor with their hands hurt think he's a monster. Saying they were wrong, they ask him not to come near them anymore. But the protagonist has other plans. They don't get it, and Yamori says they took stuff from him that he wants back. The bully immediately gives back what he took from him. Our protagonist knows he went too far, but those idiots won't have the guts to tell anyone. The school has too many people and it's an annoying place, and he wants to leave as soon as possible. Luckily, he also got a bit of money from his enemies. With that amount, he's going to buy raw materials to make low-level talismans. Talismans are items that weak cultivators buy all the time, and even a piece of crap like him can make a few in this state. After making the items, he knows he can sell them and save up a good amount of money. Now he needs to find a suitable place to cultivate and buy medicinal ingredients. 3 weeks passed and there's no sign of the items selling. People in this world look at talismans with a lot of superstition. In the middle of a run down the street, the level 1 cultivator finds an injured dog. Its injuries look serious, and the little animal collapses on the ground from the pain. So he takes the chance to test the talisman's effects on the dog, which looks like it got hit by a car. He restores the animal's health, which had failing organs and physical trauma. In moments, the dog goes back to being healthy and starts barking, all excited. A man tells Shizuru it's just a dog and it doesn't matter if it lives or dies. The young mistress of the Suga family says he thinks that because he's the one who ran the animal over. Annoyed, the madam plans to take the little guy to the vet, until she's shocked to see it in the boy's arms and healthy. Even after being hit, she asks how it's completely healed and if the young man did something to it. Suga saw the animal completely covered in tomato sauce and thought it was a lost cause. Seeing that she's going to a hospital to visit someone, the protagonist finds the perfect chance to show off the talisman, saying he simply used a blue protection talisman. However, Wada thinks he's a lying con artist and says he won't be fooled. He's sure the kid threw the dog into their path to rob them. Even with he tells the young mistress not to believe anything. She asks if the talisman works on people, wondering if it can heal someone in a vegetative state, So the protagonist understands she wants to save the life of someone in a coma. Vegetative states are caused by physical damage to the brain, perfect for his talismans, which use chi to restore the body. Wada doesn't believe a piece of paper will heal her aunt and tells her not to touch the talisman. Our hero explains to the woman that it's simple to use, just hold it in front of the person you want to heal. He offers the big ones for 400,000 yen and the small ones for 200,000. The young master pays 1 million yen to our hero and wants to take everything he has. Wada tells the girl not to buy it because he thinks all of this is insane. However, the cultivator gets annoyed and grabs the man's hand when he tries to stop the sale. He tells him to stop meddling in his business, since the woman already agreed to buy the talisman, saying that if he plans to stand in his way, he'd better back off. After hurting and holding Wada's arm, our hero throws the idiot away, closing the deal with the woman from the Suga family. He hands over an extra yellow protection talisman and a red fire one. He hopes the day never comes when she has to use those specific talismans. Even so, Shizuru thanks him for the freebie and asks the protagonist's name. He introduces himself as Yaemori Hiroto as he walks away. Wada is sure this guy is a fraud and a con artist, even thinking it's impossible to cure a vegetative state. If there's even the slightest chance, she'll try. She wants to make the woman regain consciousness. Finally, he has money and goes looking for a house. His next step is to find medicinal items to use his cultivation abilities. All of a sudden, the dog finds something weird and starts barking to warn its owner. Our hero notices a mansion with a lot of chi spirit around it, until he spots something strange growing in that mansion's garden. It's a silver heart-shaped grass. In the infirmary, one of the guys who got beat up by the protagonist tells the nurse that he's evil. While getting medical treatment, he says he'll make Yaemori pay next time. Suga Kenji, the city councilman watching what Sho did, complains about his behavior. He says he embarrassed the family and that falling for a scammer's nonsense will make him a laughingstock. The nurses gossip about the young master who spent a ton of money on talismans and make fun of her. Shao holds the talisman sad and says she wants to try one more time. This is her last attempt to save her mom, and she'll do whatever it takes. The councilman says she's out of her mind and needs to stop these crazy attempts. Seeing her believe in mystical stuff, he thinks her next step is praying to gods. Talking back to her father, she asks what he's going to do to help. She asks how many times he visited her mom while she was unconscious. She blames her father and says he didn't do everything he could have done, and that if he leaves her mom like this, he'll go find another woman and just abandon her like that. Her father gets really angry and threatens to slap her, but he stops himself and holds back. He says his daughter is getting way too mouthy too. He says he's going to call the nurse and pull those tubes out of her. Crying, the daughter says her father can't do that. Holding the talisman, she cries and says she'll never give up on her mom. Suddenly, the talisman kicks in and a blue light starts coming off it. The mother wakes up, puts her hand on her daughter's face, and calls out Shizuru. Sugiyoko, the mother, wakes up and asks if her daughter lost a little weight. The father is completely shocked and runs out to call a doctor. He calls everyone. After all, his wife woke up from the coma. Shocked, the doctors ask if that's true. They rush to take his wife in for tests. The doctor says that after a year and a half in a coma, she might be able to return to normal life. Suga figures it must be thanks to the blue talisman. He's sure it worked, and the doctors think it's impossible and don't believe it. The father thinks it's a miracle, and the doctor tells them to call Professor Suzuki. Wada wonders if the man who sold the talisman was some kind of heavenly being. Yoko hugs Shizuru, apologizing for making her suffer, but her daughter is happy she woke up. Certain that God exists, she wants to find the man again to thank him. Meanwhile, he's finished the first step to return to the Ryu continent, which is finishing the move into his new house. He'll never forgive the people who betrayed him in his past life. Before that, he needs to reach the 11th level of cultivation and get spirit sources and materials. He knows the day of revenge is coming, and they'll pay the price soon. At this rate, his energy will run out, because in this world, spiritual energy is weak. To get past that, he needs to find an item overflowing with Cheb spirit energy. He assumes only spiritual springs or rare artifacts would be enough, but thinking that silver hearts are growing there in the garden, he gets excited. After all, silver heart grass is an A-rank spiritual material. Different from regular herbs, spiritual materials are used to refine pills that raise a cultivator's stage. If you refine a Juki pill using silver heart fruits, you can reach the second stage, but if he's careless, it'll be a headache. The materials for a Juki pill cost a fortune. He thought he was selling talismans quietly, but it looks like he stirred up trouble. Some guys have been following him since the third day he started his business. Our hero wants to see what these trash guys will do once they get closer. All of a sudden, a girl shows up and recognizes our hero at the worst possible time. She noticed Yaemori hasn't been going to campus and asks what he's doing there. She remembers he was kicked out of the clan because his body was weak and that he doesn't even have time to study. Our protagonist knows she was the only classmate who stood up for the previous owner of this body. She hands him money so he can go back to studying with her. Yaemori doesn't take the money and apologizes because he's got business to handle now. The girl figures he must be dealing with some kind of problem. Meanwhile, the hero notices there are 7 hostile enemies on the left and 3 on the right. He knows he can take all of them out in an instant. Our protagonist starts running, and the knife-wielding enemies chase after him. They go into an alley the MC headed toward. When they get there, they notice there's no way out and start trying to scare him. Yahello tells them all to come at him at once. The group of 5 scary-looking people stops in front of him, all armed. A bald guy gets ready to fight and says this is going to be fun. Our cultivator asks why they've been watching him and following him for days. The man says he's got some nerve selling items like he hasn't made a massive pile of enemies. They ask why the young mistress of the Amatani clan is interested in a guy like him. That woman was almost the MC's fiancé, and he thinks it's over the top to kill him just because the marriage fell through, so he's going to force the answers out of them. The girl sees the Yakuza members trying to take Yahello out and is shocked. She thinks he can't beat armed gangsters with the fragile body he has. The girl decides to call the police to save the boy's life. A Yakuza member calls her a lost alley cat and asks what she's doing on her phone. He snatches the phone from her hand with a psycho look on his face. The gang members call him boss and are happy he showed up. Our hero sees Mochiyama being yanked by the hair, aggressively by their leader. The leader calls him a conqueror, because first it was Setsu Amatani, and now this little girl. She screams for Yahello to run because they're all armed. She also says they can't lay a hand on her because she's the daughter of the Keijo Mochiyama clan. However, the bald gang leader mocks the Mochiyama clan. Then he says that if they bury her there, nobody will ever find out where she went. The girl gets really scared, and the psycho says if she wants to blame someone, it should be her own stupidity. Right as he tries to stab her, the protagonist reacts and charges straight at him. He takes the knife out of his hand and pins him to the wall. Mochiyama wonders if that really is Yahello. After all, he's really different. Our hero threatens them and says he'll only ask once, who sent them there. Somewhere else, they inform Inspector Kaya that the Scarface's group is making moves in the alleys on East Street with a kid involved and a woman being held hostage. The investigator starts driving fast, full of adrenaline, and calls for backup without alerting Chief Onaga. He tells them not to act without thinking, because they're traffickers and they won't hesitate to kill people. With no response, he starts pressing the guy on the radio to see if he heard what he said. But his colleague says, terrified, that they won't need backup anymore. He points out that the kid he mentioned earlier took down the entire Scarface's gang. The bald guy asks if he really is the Yahello clan's trash, and says his gang won't be beaten that easily. The MC asks if it was the Amatani clan or the Yahello clan that gave the information, threatening him by saying he has only 3 seconds to answer. Begging, the bald guy asks for more time to answer. Our hero wasn't going to give in, but the police show up and order him to kneel. Inspector Kaya tells him not to finish the man off, or he'll sink to his level. Then the protagonist wonders if the police showing up there was just a coincidence. He could easily create a way out of this situation, but he doesn't want to reveal his real powers. That's why he decides to let the bald guy go. The gang leader, who's in shock that he's still alive. With his current strength, he can't take on the government, and has to give in to police pressure. Kaya finds it hard to believe this kid took down a gang by himself, wiping out all the gangster dealers in one go, all on his own. Kaya Haruki introduces himself to Yahello as an inspector from the Numi City Police. Mochiyama greets him too, and the inspector says he'll clean up the mess, and they don't need to worry. Rakahara Fumiya, a police officer, also introduces himself to the two of them. Our hero gets worried about the government watching. After all, they saw everything and showed up really fast. They'll need his statement and will only focus on what happened in the incident. The police chief shows up and says they would have let the culprits walk if he hadn't arrived just now. Onaga Raizu accuses the student Yahello and says he's being arrested for assault. He shows the paper with the arrest warrant. Mochiyama is furious. After all, the guys on the ground attacked them first. Onaga says all he saw was the kid beating them up for no reason. Kaya thinks what Raizu is doing is ridiculous, saying everyone knows those men are drug dealers. When the inspector calls them trash, that seems to piss off Superintendent Onaga. He says he could take his badge for challenging his boss. Kaya calls him an asshole, and the bald cop tells him to calm down so he doesn't lose his job. All of a sudden, Yahello speaks up, telling them to take him in. He knows some big shot in the government pulled some strings to frame our hero. This kind of thing is going to keep happening, and the MC is going to use it to gather information. He asks Onaga how he knew the kid was a student. When he gets questioned about that, the cop gets irritated and realizes he slipped up. After giving a lame excuse, the MC asks if his boss wants him to keep an eye on him. Onaga pretends he doesn't know what our hero is talking about and tells him to get in the squad car. Holding the superintendent's coat button, he says that's a shame. The man is in shock after all. He didn't see him taking his button. Our hero says that next time they meet, he'll take more than just the button. Onaga wants to make him regret that and gets really mad at the student. Some time passes, and inside the prison, a cop bangs his baton on a prisoner's bars. The cop says the target will be there soon and the order is to eliminate him. That sinister prisoner closes his book and says he understands his mission. Our MC arrives at the prison with the guards escorting him and starts checking the place out. When the bars close, he feels like they're planning to attack him. He finds it interesting and wonders if the guy sharing the cell with him is the brains behind the plan. For a long time, that man had a personal rule. He didn't want to beat up a weak kid like him. But this time he got hired, so there's nothing he can do. Our hero asks if he's just another lackey. Yahello felt a burning sensation the moment he walked into this place. He might be weak right now, but he can feel exactly what's coming off Funaki. He sees a really strong aura of spiritual IQ around him. Like a madman, the enemy says he's going to send the MC to another world in seconds. He charges at him with everything, wrapped in spiritual energy. But when he goes in for the attack, the MC disappears. He reappears right in front of him and shoves his hand into Funaki's face. He says he's confused because the only weak person in this room is him. The moment he says that, Yamori slams his body into the floor hard. But he's caught off guard when the villain grabs his leg tight and gets up, throwing the protagonist away. Still, the hero manages to brace himself against the wall and doesn't take damage from it. Funaki underestimated him and is going to make our hero go through a lot of pain. But in the very next moment, he just gets popped in the face. When he looks up, he sees death and tries to defend himself. Even so, he takes a brutal kick that sends him flying to the other side of the cell. Our protagonist stays steady on his feet while his enemy is badly hurt. Funaki runs at him, winding up a massive punch and tells him not to get cocky, but he eats another one, right to the gut, feeling intense pain and flying back again. He keeps wondering why this is happening, and Yaemori walks up to him again. Radiating a ton of spiritual energy, he throws yet another punch at the enemy, landing it on his face and driving his head into the floor hard. Holding his face against the ground, he asks who sent him there. He also asks where and how he got spiritual IQ. Honaga on the phone asks what kind of monster the student he just arrested is. The person on the other end of the line thinks he's a screw-up from the Yaemori clan, not a monster. The superintendent wouldn't call him a screw-up. After all, he took care of the enemy without much trouble. Meanwhile, our hero waits for an answer from Funaki, who's on the ground beaten up all over. He assumes Yaemori is on a whole different level from ordinary men, like himself and everyone else. Our hero wonders if the people he's talking about are the cultivators of this world. A few years ago, Funaki met an old monk in Ryuja, who channeled his spiritual chi into one hand and sliced a giant tree like it was nothing. That monk gave him a bottle of divine water. As the years went by, he kept drinking the diluted divine water, just like the monk told him to. Little by little, his body changed into something beyond normal. This divine water the protagonist recognizes as spiritual liquid drawn from springs. Spiritual springs only exist in places with a huge concentration of spiritual chi. Our hero asks if Funaki has gone beyond the limits of a normal human, and why he takes orders from them. The villain explains it's because of his son, who suffers from lateral sclerosis. However, the divine water didn't work to cure his illness. That's why he wanted to make money. When our hero hears about ALS, he knows he can fix it. Funaki is stunned, and the MC explains that giving spiritual liquid to ordinary people risks hurting them. But he can do it using a talisman. Funaki is surprised and doesn't think something that good could be real. To prove it, the MC uses the talisman on the man and all his wounds heal instantly. Our reincarnated guy is going to give the man a chance. He asks him to reveal the real identity of whoever's behind all this, and his son will be cured. If he refuses, he'll be taken out right now by our hero. Funaki confirms his theory that Yaemori wasn't just some ordinary guy. He says the man who contacted him to take him out was Hashimoto Kosei. Someone on the phone says Onaga got scared of a small fry from the Yaemori clan. That person is Hashimoto Kosei, owner of the Kozan Club, and he's going to pick up where he left off with the person in front of him. He asks the person what cut of meat they want to eat and whether they'd like something to drink. In front of him is a woman, chained up and gagged, desperate, crying. Kosei stands up and says she's a bad girl who doesn't even know basic manners. He yanks the tape off her mouth, hurting the girl. Wondering which tooth he'll pull next, so she learns another lesson. After saying that, he pulls one of her teeth with pliers, causing the woman intense pain. His butler warns him that Lord Suma contacted them about Hirata Yaemori's situation. Kosei says he already assigned that job to some thug from Ryuja, and that he'll personally head to the police station later. Either way, he knows that man is destined to become a corpse. Meanwhile, in the cell, Funaki hands over a pendant in exchange for Hiroto's talisman. He sees that in the middle of the cross pendant there's condensed spiritual liquid. He knows that if he uses that liquid on Silverheart grass, it'll produce fruit immediately. Taking the pendant, the MC thanks Funaki for the gift. He warns that from now on, Hashimoto is going to come after our protagonist. And nobody that man sets his sights on gets a decent ending. Hiroto tells him not to worry as long as he keeps their deal in place. About Hashimoto, the MC says he'll make sure to send his regards to him. At Newin University, a classy woman steps out of an expensive car. The woman who bought the talismans didn't believe the boy was the Yaemori clan exile, until she saw the photo with her own eyes and was sure it was him, and the boy is her freshman too. Saki talks to the college president about what happened to the protagonist, but he doesn't want to get involved. But the girl is determined to get him out of the chair. Shizuru walks into the room right then and sees they're talking about Hiroto Yaemori. Meanwhile, in Superintendent Onaga's office, the cop is furious with him. After all, the man is letting a gangster walk out of prison after chasing him for years. Kai accuses the boss of abusing his power. His boss says he has no evidence, and accusing a superior of a crime without proof is serious. Kaya says he knows what his boss is planning behind the scenes. Threatening the young cop, the superintendent orders him to say what he knows. However, the cop gets scared and ends up not saying anything. At that moment, Shizuru and Saki arrive at the office, even with a cop trying to stop them. The superintendent gets mad at the guard for not stopping them. He wonders who they even are since Hiroto didn't seem to have any real backing. He says the girl's friend is suspected of theft and assault and can't be released until trial. Kaya says that's ridiculous, since he wasn't suspected of any of that. The chief says he can't leak information since he's the superintendent. Saki asks why the Yakuza members aren't there. Unaga says he doesn't have to explain anything to them. This was the end of episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part.